So you binged season 2 of Stranger Things and got your fill of Eggos, Demodogs and Snowballs, but now you're wondering what's next? Yippee-ki-yay movie lovers, it's Jan here, and in this video I'm looking at what we can expect from season 3 of the hit Netflix show, which means I've got a heap of predictions and theories, as well as questions I'd love to see answered in the series. So I'll be discussing, among other things, Eleven, the AV Club Gang, Hopper, Max and Billy, Carly, plus of course the Shadow Monster. By the way, my Stranger Things giveaway is also running on this video, so for your chance to win a Stranger Things Funko Pop, make sure you're subscribed to my channel and leave a comment below about what you'd like to see happen in season 3. Obviously, I'll be discussing season 2 in detail and referencing season 1 as well, so take care if you're not caught up. Before I get into individual theories and predictions for characters, let's take a quick look at what that creepy cliffhanger of the Shadow Monster over Hawkins School and the Upside Down means going forward. Obviously, it's an intriguingly menacing and ominous image to end on, but what really struck me about it was that it feels like the monster is almost stalking Eleven and the AV Club Gang. I mean, it stands to reason, after all, our heroic friends were responsible for nixing the Mind Flayer's nefarious plan and driving it and its beastly minions out of their town. That's got to have riled up the sinister creature. So in season 3 I think we could see the Shadow Monster making a beeline for the kids, especially Eleven, who we witnessed actually closing the gateway in Hawkins Labs. I also wonder what happened to the portal in the school corridor which Eleven used to return from the Upside Down this season. It's the same spot which the Demogorgon used in the first season to move from the Upside Down to our world, and if that opening is still accessible, then it's something the Mind Flayer could use to access Hawkins. Either way, we're going to see plenty more of the Shadow Monster, as the Duffer Brothers have confirmed it will be an overarching villain for the series as a whole. By the end of the second season, Eleven learned to control and intensify her powers to the extent that she was able to close an enormous breach between the Hawkins Lab and the Upside Down. And perhaps we'll see her powers get even stronger as the series progresses, and she doubtless tracks down other Hawkins Lab survivors. Potentially there's a bit more stability on the horizon for Elle, at least for the moment, as she's got an official birth certificate that gives her a real name, Jane Hopper, meaning that Chief Hopper is now her official father figure. Though she does go to the Snowball, Dr. Owens suggests that Hopper keep Elle out of the spotlight for a year, which could fit in with the time jump to 1985 that I think we'll see next season. After all, the Duffer Brothers have talked about the necessity of time jumps like the one between seasons 1 and 2, as the show's young actors are all growing up. And of course, setting season 3 in 1985 would bring some great stuff for the show to mine, including Back to the Future, Fright Night and The Breakfast Club. And maybe after an off-screen year away from prying eyes, though with visits from her friends, we could even see Elle venture out in the world, joining Mike and the gang at school. And perhaps as Joyce and Hopper get closer, we'll also see them all form a sort of makeshift family. Then of course there's still a couple of other unresolved issues for Eleven which I expect we'll also see addressed next season. One is with her sister Carly, who she left in Chicago, and another is with her papa, Dr. Brenner, who we just discovered appears to be still alive. And I'll talk about those a little later in this video. Season 2 introduces us to two new characters, Max and Billy. Max is a fun addition who set up a new love triangle with Dustin and Lucas vying for her attention. By the end though, she'd proven she could be a capable member of the AV Club party, and I expect that we'll see her take on a much more active role next season. And given the influence of Dungeons & Dragons on the show, maybe we'll see Max, who's pretty nifty on her skateboard, take on the role of a Dungeons & Dragons rogue, using her speed and stealth to the group's advantage. Max's stepbrother Billy was of course a huge jerk throughout the season, to the point where it made me wonder why the character was introduced as he's so objectionable. However, I suspect that the showrunners have something more interesting in mind for him next season, which could also involve an affair with Mrs. Wheeler, Nancy and Mike's mum. Another theory though is that Billy could be co-opted willingly or not by the Mind Flayer into working on behalf of the evil entity. Billy obviously has a lot of issues. There's his relationship with his bullying father, his apparent racism towards Lucas, and he may still be annoyed at Max for stabbing him with a syringe in the finale. All of those things could take him to a dark place where he ends up encountering the Shadow Monster, leading him to make a pact. Or just like Will, he ends up taken over by the Mind Flayer and gets used as a human spy. And if that were the case, then this time the Shadow Monster would be in control of someone who is already a brutal bully, rather than the good-natured Will. And Billy wasn't the only thing taken down in the finale at the Byers house. When Eleven reunited with Mike and friends, she took out a set of Demodogs circling the house. But in a hilarious moment, Dustin then insisted that Steve stuff one of the dead Demodogs into the Byers fridge, because it's a groundbreaking scientific discovery. I'm hoping we might see the AV party investigate the dead creature, as it could reveal something more about how the Mind Flayer controls its hive-minded minions. And I wonder if we'll see Dustin reach out to his teacher Mr. Clark for help opening this new curiosity door. I mean, Mr. Clark has proven rather helpful in the past, for example giving advice about making a sensory deprivation tank, so maybe he'd have some tips about examining the Demodog. Or maybe Steve and Dustin will continue their newfound bromance into next season with a Demodog dissection. Then again, it appears that Dr. Owens is still in town despite the closure of Hawkins Lab, and he could well be interested in Dustin's find. Despite his part in the cover-up, Owens did help Hopper get a birth certificate for 11, and so ended the season on a positive note. But maybe Owens will turn out to be a duplicitous scheming official, similar to actor Paul Reiser's character Carter Burke in the movie Aliens, which was such a big influence on this season of Stranger Things. Oh, and let's not forget that the monster likes the cold, so although the Demodog is dead, a fridge may still not be the best place to keep it. Speaking of Dustin, the fact his nose and mouth were covered by goggles and a scarf in the tunnels didn't stop the spray from a huge flower-like creature getting in his mouth. And Hopper also got sprayed and trapped by the vines when he first entered the tunnels earlier in the season. Oh, and don't forget that Mike also got caught in the vines as well before being rescued by his friends. So potentially any of those 3 characters could have been infected by the monster. They all seem to be healthy at the end of the season, but we can't rule out there being some sort of incubation period for any infection they might be carrying. As for Will, it'll be interesting to see if he still has visions of the Upside Down in season 3, though the Duffer Brothers told Variety that they think they'll need to give Will a breather next season, given everything he's been through for the last 2 years. The appearance in season 2 of Carly, aka 8, who's another young survivor of Dr. Brenner's secret experiments, confirms exactly what many of us were thinking after last season, that there are others like 11 out there. Now it just remains to be seen how many of those 10 who went before 11 have survived. I fully expect to see a few of those survivors in season 3 and beyond. Unlike Elle, Carly is based in Chicago, and she also has different powers to her lost sister, as she's able to make people see or not see whatever she chooses. So the question for similar survivors going forward is what they're up to now, what their particular powers will be, and how and where they will appear. Given that Carly was found in Illinois, the state next to Indiana, I wonder if other survivors will turn up in other surrounding states such as Ohio, Kentucky or Michigan. Also, will any of them join Carly on her revenge mission? Or what I suspect will happen in perhaps the final season is we'll find them teaming up with 11 to eventually overcome the terrors of the Upside Down once and for all. I've got a separate video where I explain all the clues in the show about which new gifted children we'll see next season. You can tap in the top right to watch that, or there are links to it in the video description and at the end of this video. Before this season, Elle assumed Dr. Brenner was dead, as the last time we saw him the Demogorgon appeared to be pouncing on him in the school corridor, though the camera cut away before we could confirm his fate. In season 2, Papa makes an eerie appearance when Carly uses her powers to summon him up in Elle's mind. But what's really exciting for season 3 and beyond is that former Hawkins Lab worker Ray tells Elle and Carly that Brenner is still alive and that he can lead them to the man who called himself their father. Of course, Carly and Elle are about to wreak revenge on Ray for what he did to them and Elle's mother at the lab, so it's possible he's lying to save his neck. But if we take Ray's confession at face value, where is Brenner hiding? Perhaps in Chicago like his former lab assistant. And what is Brenner doing? Working on a number 12 maybe? And will Elle be able to locate him by herself? It'll also be intriguing to find out whether Brenner is actually 11's biological father, or whether more likely he was just encouraging her to think of him as Papa as a convenient way for them to bond and get her to do as he wished. The 7th episode wasn't as well received as the rest of the show by many fans, as it felt somewhat jarring in terms of the setting and characters. But what 11 learned from Carly was vital for the finale. However, whether we'll see Carly return might well depend on whether the Duffer Brothers feel she's important for the final defeat of the Shadow Monster, and she could return as a potential antagonist to 11, given they departed on difficult terms. However, they regard each other as sisters, so it's more likely they'll join together next season to find and deal with Dr. Brenner. Now, what do you want to see happen in season 3, and what are your favourite moments from this season? Let me know what you think in the comments below, and also make sure you subscribe to my channel for a chance to win my Stranger Things giveaway. Enjoyed this video? Then hit that like button and turn on your notifications to get more videos like this. Plus you can check out a selection of my other videos here. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Yippee-ki-yay, movie lovers!